Hey guys, so right now I'm heading over to Matt's. We're gonna finalize our contract, look at some housing, take a peek at our modules, do a few travel nursing stuff. We're also gonna do our drug tests, and if you have time at the end of the day, get some soccer. So I'll see you there. So a little bit on our contracts. When Matt and I were looking at our contracts, there's a lot of thought that goes into it because we want to have a job that we're gonna like and a location that we're gonna like, and that also pays pretty well. So it's a little bit more difficult when you're a travel duo because we both need the same job at the same facility in the same amount of time. But I mean, on a good note, there's a lot of contracts out there. We did get sent a lot of contracts our way, but like I said, me and Matt were a little more specific, a little more picky. So we wanted a good location. So a lot of contracts that we got were kind of in the middle of California and more like in the outskirts. We were looking more towards the LA region where we essentially got Santa Monica, which is beautiful. And also the pay you got to also take a look at, because California, if you guys are traveling from out of state, the cost of living is a little bit higher. So we had to find a nice contract that has a nice pay, and we also found that as well. So when you're looking for a contract, you kind of want to be picky, but you also gotta have room for leeway. So me and Matt got a nice location, a nice pay, a nice hospital, and essentially we're both going together. Hey guys, just got to Matt's place. We're gonna figure out where we're gonna live in California and probably how and when we're gonna ship our cars out. So let's head upstairs.
Who's there? What's up, Petey?
What's up, brother?
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. This weather's
A little gloomy, but that's okay, right? Ready to get this show on the road?
No, but
I'll set the mood for you. Hey, Alexa, make living room red.
favorite color. I feel angry already.
Welcome to the Mindful Pad.
Thank you, man.
Let's get this show on the road.
So we're actually looking over our current contract right now. And some of the things you want to consider when you're signing up for a contract in travel nursing, you obviously want to know the location, the hospital, the length of time you're going to be contracted for, how many hours you're going to work for a week. And there's a lot of things that go into this contract, such as like your base pay, your meals, your housing, that'll be your stipends. You also want to take a look at your double time, your overtime pay, and your charge pay if you're ever going to be charged, on-call pay, things like that for the most part.
And a little secret, go on the IRS website and make sure your stipends are actually maxed out. And because what you want to do when it comes to travel nursing is you want a lower base pay, but you want more stipends, aka you're going to get taxed less at the end of the day. And that's what you ultimately want because you're going to owe less money to Uncle Sam. And another thing is like your freaking recruiter. I've been doing this for almost 2 years, and I think the relationship with the recruiter is like the number one thing because like he is basically the median between you and the hospital. If there's issues going on in the hospital, you're going to report to the recruiter. He's going to take it up to the chain of command, whatever the case might be. Of course, if there's nursing stuff going on, you go up to the charge nurse and use that chain of command. Anything else, your recruiter is your lifeline for things.
Yeah, we've got bombarded with multiple contracts, multiple recruiters, and we end up deciding to go with True Staff. Our recruiter is great, does an amazing job, goes the extra mile, and you want that from a recruiter. You want that recruiter to have a contract for you that he knows that it will suit your needs and is able to adjust accordingly to maybe like a change of date or any kind of change you have in mind. And yeah, True Staff has been great to us.
Exactly, and also like your recruiter should be somewhat similar maybe to your personality, right? Like me and Peter are both like straightforward, upfront people, right? So our recruiter, he's ex-military, and he's like this guy that's straight business. He's straightforward, and he makes things happen for us, Especially being a travel nurse duo, you got to make sure that you are both going to be assigned to the same hospital. One issue that arose is I got accepted to the job, right? And then Peter didn't get accepted yet because he had to go through an interview through a agency. So our recruiter went out their way and he made sure that both of us got in for the same hospital because you don't want to be living in the same place and then traveling to two different hospitals. That would suck.
Yeah, and it's, applying to like travel contracts is very similar to applying to like staff jobs. You're gonna need a resume. You're gonna need some kind of interview. Except when you're applying to a staff job compared to a travel nursing up position, there you have the middleman, and the middleman's you're basically your agent, your travel agent that's getting these contracts. But otherwise, it's very similar.
I agree with you, man.
So we're looking at a contract right now. We have the electronic copy here. So I'm gonna let you guys know what actually goes into a contract. So under the employment section, there's a section called assignment, location, terms, and unit. So in this section, that's gonna be your hospital, your location, length of assignment, your start date, your completion date, the primary unit you're gonna be on. Are you gonna float? Are you not? Your work week, what days does it start, what day does it end. Then you're also gonna have under that your pay rate. So what goes into that, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. It's more than like a staff position where it's just your hourly rate and all that. You're going to have your base pay, which is going to be the pay that you're going to be taxed at. It's going to be your meals, incidentals, and your housing. Those are your stipends that the agency pays for. It's going to give you a number how much you're going to make for double time, for overtime, your on-call pay, your callback pay after you get called off and called in. And they're also going to have charge pay if that's available for you guys.
Yeah.
And then there's also a bonus section which sometimes it might be included in yours, it might apply to you, it might not, but that just depends on how you negotiate things.
Yeah. For example, your hospital has the ability to only cancel you once every 2 weeks and all that. So that goes into it as well. And prior to even accepting a contract, one big thing is housing. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to grab, whether you're using Airbnb or Furnish Finder. That's what we like to use. Before I accept the contract, I literally rack up a location, 20-mile radius of anywhere I would consider staying. Huge factor for us, which was non-negotiable, was being close to the water. So we found a place that's at least 10 miles from the ocean, and we called a few places and we negotiated a few places. Like we had like a top 3 list of places we wanted to stay, and we went over to the top 3 places and just kind of chose it, because you want to have a place to stay before you actually accept the contract. You could do it vice versa, and some of your agencies, True Staff does this as well. You could get connected with somebody which will help you find housing if you aren't good at that. So there's nothing to be scared about. You will get everything settled in before you start your damn job. I think it's like that first time anxiety that you get, like, oh my God, I'm literally leaving my shit, grabbing a suitcase and leaving. And that's scary for a lot of people, because you're leaving your little social bubble that you've been so primed and conditioned to be in.
Yeah, and don't kind of have your eyes set on like one building, one housing place, because we have a special situation where the house that we're going to rent out doesn't allow us to move in until a date after our contract.
That's right.
So in our case, we're going to Airbnb for the first few days, and then we're going to move into our actual Furnish Finder house, because we use Furnish Finder, correct?
Yeah, so on the vlog, as you guys are probably going to see, is we're going to be in an Airbnb for a couple days, and then we're going to transition into the home that we're going to stay for 3 months. The reason being is we just wanted a dope place, and once you guys see how this place looks, like, I'm pumped for it myself. Peter, are you pumped?
I'm already moving right now. My stuff's already packed.
Cameraman, are you ready for this place? Damn, we're pumped, man. So yeah.
Yeah, it's got a pool and a hot tub, right?
And a fireplace.
And surround sound, right? There's sound everywhere. Bedroom, living room, maybe in the garage.
Yeah, so me and Peter are going to learn how to DJ literally for maybe a week. Maybe on orientation, we could just learn how to DJ after hours, and we're going to play DJ sets for you guys.
I want to play the guitar.
You want to play guitar?
Yeah, you can be DJ. I'll do the guitar.
We can do that.
I respect. All right, guys. So we have finally and formally, officially signed our contract. Respect. So we know how much we're paying, or we know how much we're getting paid, and then we know the length of our contract. So now we're going to look at the housing. So there's 2 options for you with housing. One, they can provide it for you, but it's going to take a chunk of your pay out of there. Or
and let me say, some freaking travel agency, they take your freaking per diem for housing for that, so be careful.
Yeah, so if you guys want to go a simpler route, you could have them handle that for you. We chose a second route where we're going to get a higher stipend and we're actually going to find our own place. So if you guys choose that route, the same route we did, you want to consider how much you're actually making. So if you're going to get paid weekly, you're going to multiply that basically by 4, because there's 4 weeks in a month, because your most of your housing is going to be charged on a monthly basis. So you want to kind of gauge how much you're going to be able to afford to stay in, because you don't want to aim too high and then your take home is going to be less than you expected and you're not really making any money. But then you also want to consider you want a nice place to live, because you want to enjoy yourself. You're in California, wherever you're going to be.
Off.
You're basically vacationing while you're working. So guys, do your weekly pay times 4 and check out a place that kind of fits your budget.
Yeah, and whatever you were making as a staff nurse, subtract your net pay, right, the monthly income with your rent, and that's going to be your pay for the month. Add in your food, and then just figure out how much you want to make as a travel nurse. If you're going the route of, I want to save money because I want to go back to school or I want to buy a car, then you'll be more stingy. You're going to find a shittier place to live in, but you're going to make more money. So the lifestyle of a travel nurse is going to be tailored to what your needs are, and that's what's so beautiful about it. You can make more money, or you can kind of make a little bit less money, but your vacation, your experience as a travel nurse is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we've met nurses that actually live in RVs. They want to max out the amount of money they're going to make, so they live in an RV for 13 weeks, or 26 weeks, or however long their contract is, 8 weeks, and they save a lot of money that way, and they make a lot of money that way. We're a little bougie. We're gonna have a nice place with a pool and a jacuzzi, so we like to ball out a little bit sometimes.
I just really want to do some backflips, man.
Dude, don't hurt your back though, dude. I need you out there.
I
Need
know.
your front lines.
I know, and then like after housing, or after you kind of find a few places, right? You're gonna call a couple places. You're gonna negotiate the pay, maybe how much you're gonna have rent, pros and cons of how far you want to drive. For example, there was a place that me and Peter wanted to get that was 15 minutes from work, but it was honestly shitty. Didn't have a pool, didn't have a jacuzzi, and those are the things that we kind of want, right? Non-negotiables. And we're going to instead drive 47 minutes to 50 minutes in LA traffic, but instead we're going to have those 4 days off of enjoying ourselves and kind of, de-stressing, hanging out by the pool. So things to consider, of course, right? And after that, you're going to contact the person, and you're going to go into contracts with them as well, right? Because if you choose Airbnb, that's a little bit different, right? There's security there. You kind of pay the payment. You're good to go. But Airbnb gets expensive. You want to save some money, try to find people to rent out from on like Furnish Finder, Apartments.com, because they do month-to-month leases, whatever the case might be. And your landlord will probably require a background check, so you got to pay like $50, right? Whatever the case might be for that. And you're going to sign an independent contract when it comes to housing. So in total, you might sign 2 contracts, not including car transportation. So that's another thing. How far are you traveling from your permanent resident, right? We're going from Chicago to Cali. Last year, me and Peter literally drove from Chicago to Cali. It was like 32 hours.
That was the mission. Like, we drove separate cars too, so it would be a lot easier if there's people in one car because you guys could switch off. But we actually took both our own cars, and that was a mission.
Yeah, we were definitely caffeinated, and we were just listening to podcasts, music, switching off, phone calls, ass was hurting, gas station stops, taking naps at the gas station.
And all those miles you rack up on your car too.
Yeah, so things to consider. Do you want to like spend money on an oil change? Do you want to spend money on driving there, gas, everything else? Like, that's going to add up, right? What me and Peter do instead is we find a transport company, and you could do that through a broker that has a license, and he'll find you a driver. Someone will come actually pick up your car and will deliver it at the destination that you desire for it to be dropped off as. That kind of is easier for us because I'd rather fly somewhere. I'm not going to be exhausted before I start my job, and my car is in one piece. So things to consider.
And also housing. Sometimes you might find a nice place that seems like it's cheap, and you're thinking, why is this so cheap compared to other places that are more expensive? You gotta take into consideration, are they adding utilities?
Yeah.
Like for us, our price kind of increased a little bit because we wanted better internet, and we wanted utilities included. So you kind of got to decide how much electricity you're going to use, how much gas, and if it's more worth it for you to pay utilities yourself or just have it be included.
Yeah, and not to mention, I forgot, like, demographics. Where are you living, right? Do you remember when we looked up the crime rates in Oakland? We stayed in a very sketchy place in Oakland. Like, it was hood. Let me tell you, hood. And I'm from Chicago. So, like, yeah, how safe is your neighborhood? You want to do some research after you find a couple houses and maybe look at the crime rates and to see if you feel comfortable living there.
Yep. All right, guys. So we finally signed our contract, found our housing, a very beautiful house. So now we got to do a drug test, which we're probably going to do tomorrow. And also, once you accept the contract, they're going to send you a skills checklist from the facility. So there's actually 9 portions of it. It's very similar to like your CEs or your CBTs that you got to do in a regular staff position. So just an example, like pharmacology is one of them, dysrhythmia is one of them, general ICU, RN checklist. So things like that. It's just like little quizzes, little exams, just to make sure that you fit their part. And you obviously got to pass them with an appropriate score.
Super boring, guys. Let me insert that.
Probably devote like 2 hours every day to it.
Yeah, and this is non-paid. You're not going to get paid for this. It's just like, at work you could clock in and do your continuing education. Here you're just doing the things prior to getting starting your job in the hospital. And some facilities will actually pay you for this. So you could ask your recruiter if they're going to pay for your CEs or the education part that you're doing for the hospital.
Yeah, and then one thing we forgot to mention a little bit early on is there's actually another skills checklist that you have to fill out with your agency prior to even applying for jobs to make sure you know what you would have to know for the ICU or for a floor, ER, things like that. And that's usually done prior to the application process. That's more for your recruiter, more for your agency to kind of know what your skills actually are and where they could put you.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but it's also, I don't know if the skills checklist actually gets to the hospital. Who knows? That's out of our pay grade. But it kind of basically rates you in 4 ways, right? 1, you never performed this task. 2, you have limited experience. 3, comfortable performing it. And 4, you're proficient. And, just to give you guys an example, hypothermia, this is for the ICU. Have you dealt with a hypothermic patient? I rated it as a 4, meaning I'm competent. I've done it before, correct? Cardiogenic shock. 1st-degree burns, I did 2 because I never really took care of it, but I understand it a little bit, correct? You have gunshot wounds. I put all 1s for that. I never worked at a level in trauma, right? So things like that. So this will just be an idea of...
It's subjective.
It's subjective, exactly.
You're basically rating yourself for these exams, like 1 through 4. And I'm not sure how it's scored. We don't really ask how it's scored. We don't really care because, we obviously fit the part of an ICU nurse.
Exactly. And if you are interested in travel nursing and want to work for an awesome team, hit us up. Let us know. We will partner you up with an awesome recruiter that will get the job done. And we'll make your travel nursing experience that much better because I've dealt with shitty recruiters. I fired a recruiter in my life before. So it's all part of the process. You live and you learn, and then you kind of find the cream of the crop, and you have an awesome agency and a recruiter that you work for.
Exactly. Or if you're just interested and you want to ask us a few questions, you want to pick our brains, feel free as well. Like Matt said, we're going to have a vlog coming along with it as well. And Matt has quite a bit of travel nursing experience, so he's your guy to go to for the most part.
So guys, we basically wrapped up our day with freaking travel nursing, contracts, and all that damn jargon that you guys experienced. And it's a little gloomy. We have about 40 minutes of a little bit of playtime, and we actually are thinking of playing some soccer, man. Me and Peter used to play all the time back in high school. Not so much in college, but we did play on leagues, and I think we should go play soccer, man.
Yeah, and mind you, I haven't played soccer in like a solid 6 months, but Matt's got my backup cleats, so I can't say I'm be playing my 100% best. I'd probably give like an 85. If I had my own cleats, my number 1 pair of cleats, I'd probably be 100%, but I'll probably play like 85% of these cleats.
And, disclaimer, if you give 100% of your effort, Peter, you're doing a good job.
Respect. What time is it, Matt?
Time to go.
It's game time.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Alright guys, whenever we have to drive together, we have a tradition of doing paper, scissors, rock because neither of us ever feels like driving, so let's do it. I think I won the last one, right?
Yeah, you did. Ready?
Sure, dude. Right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Alright.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
He's driving. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially burnt out. We just burned 3,000 calories today, at least for myself, and I'm exhausted, but it is 11 o'clock, and there's literally one more thing we gotta do, Petey.
We gotta record a couple of news.
We're just on a time crunch with everything going on, signing contracts, finding housing, and trying to find time for sports, so we gotta knock this out because the fans wanna watch some couple of news.
Yeah. And the next time you guys can see us, it's probably us packing up and shipping our cars and moving over to California.
Guys. So we'll see you guys on the next vlog, and it'll be us getting out of Chicago.
Take care.
Hasta luego.